If your decisions are different from what your friends do, your life will be different. JackMa's uncomfortable truth about standing alone. JackMa has a way of saying the quiet part out loud. The line, "If your decisions are different from what your friends do, your life will be different," sounds simple, almost obvious, until you realize it's also a warning. Because the moment you choose a different direction, you don't just change your results. You change your relationships, your identity, your daily rhythm, and the story you tell yourself when nobody is clapping.
Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they borrow decisions from the crowd. They live on group autopilot. They pick what feels safe, looks normal, and earns quick approval. And then they wake up 5 or 10 years later, wondering why their life looks exactly like the average of everyone around them.
This idea is not be different for the sake of being different. It's not a motivational poster telling you to quit your job tomorrow and start a unicorn startup from your kitchen table. JackMa's point is sharper. The quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your decisions, and your decisions are shaped by your environment. If your environment is dominated by people who choose comfort over growth, your decisions will quietly drift in the same direction unless you interrupt it.
If your friends default to what's popular,
your choices will start to feel wrong the moment they don't match the group. That's the trap. Most people confuse different with dangerous, and they confuse popular with correct. Let's break down what this quote really means, why it's hard, and how to use it without turning into a lonely, arrogant rebel who burns bridges and calls it ambition. Because the real challenge isn't making one bold decision once. The real challenge is making different decisions consistently, when it's boring, when it's slow, when results are invisible, and when your friends think you're overthinking your life.
why different decisions creates a different life. A life is not changed by one dramatic moment. It's changed by small choices, repeated long enough that they become your identity. Your friends might choose to spend evenings scrolling, complaining, and chasing quick dopamine. You might choose to spend evenings learning a skill, building a side project, training your body, or writing. Those two decisions look similar on day 1. They look identical on day 7. But give them 6 months. One person gets slightly sharper. The other gets slightly duller. Give them 3 years. One person has new options. The other has new excuses. Different decisions compound. That's the part people underestimate. Compounding works in every direction. If you make slightly better decisions than your circle, the gap will be invisible for a while, until it's suddenly obvious. If you make slightly worse decisions, it also won't show immediately, until you realize your energy is lower, your confidence is weaker, your finances are tighter, and your standards have quietly dropped. That's why JackMa's line is so real. You don't wake up one morning with a totally different life by accident. You earn it through a series of choices other people didn't make, or wouldn't keep making when it stops being fun. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Many people don't truly want a different life. They want the same life with a different outcome. They want to keep the same habits, same friends, same routines, same comfort zones, just with more money, more respect, more freedom, more confidence. But outcomes don't change without decision changes. If you keep choosing like your friends choose, you'll eventually live like your friends live. JackMa built Alibaba in a culture and period where what he was attempting looked ridiculous to most people. He didn't have the right background. He wasn't the obvious candidate. He faced rejection repeatedly. The only way to break into a different future was to choose differently, again and again, while the crowd kept choosing the reasonable path. That's what makes his quote hit harder. It's not theory. It's biography. The social cost of different decisions. Let's be honest. The reason many people don't make different decisions isn't lack of intelligence. It's fear of social consequences. The group is not neutral. The group rewards similarity because similarity is predictable.
When you do what everyone else does, you confirm their worldview. You make them feel safe about their own choices. The moment you choose differently, you force an uncomfortable question into the room. Wait, is there another way to live?
That's why your different decision sometimes triggers weird reactions that have nothing to do with your actual choice. You start waking up early, and someone jokes, "Bro, why are you acting like a CEO?" You stop drinking every weekend, and suddenly you're no fun. You start posting your work online, and someone says, "Who do you think you are?" You invest in learning a new skill, and they call it obsession. You decline a safe path, and they call you crazy.
It's not always malicious. Sometimes it's insecurity. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's pure habit. People want you to remain the version of you they understand. But your growth changes the emotional agreement in the friendship. If the friendship is built on shared comfort, shared complaining, shared avoidance, then your different decision feels like betrayal, even if you never judged them.
So yes, different decisions create a different life, but they also create a different social experience. You may temporarily feel misunderstood. You may feel lonely, even while surrounded by people. And you may need to develop a new kind of strength. The ability to be comfortable being the weird one for a while, without turning bitter.
The difference between different and better.
Not every different decision is a good decision.
Some people hear "be different" and use it as permission to be reckless. They confuse bravery with chaos. JackMa's quote isn't telling you to rebel randomly. It's pointing to alignment. If your decisions align with your vision, and that vision is different from your friend's vision, then your life will diverge.
There's a key question you should ask before you choose differently. Different from what? And toward what? Different from your friends is not a strategy. Different toward your values is a strategy. If you want health, your decisions will look different from friends who want comfort. If you want financial freedom, your decisions will look different from friends who want appearances. If you want mastery, your decisions will look different from friends who want quick validation. The different is not the goal. The direction is the goal. Different is simply the evidence that you're not being controlled by the group. Your friends are a mirror, not a map. One of the most dangerous mistakes is using your friends as a map for your life. Friends can be an amazing mirror, showing you your patterns, your blind spots, your strengths. But they are not necessarily a map to your future. They have their own dreams, fears, responsibilities, and personalities. If you treat your friends' choices as your default path, you might end up living somebody else's life. You'll pursue what they pursue, value what they value, spend what they spend, fear what they fear. And you'll wonder why you feel empty, even when you're successful on paper. JackMa's quote is a reminder. You are allowed to choose differently. And you will have to choose differently if you want outcomes they don't prioritize. Think of it like GPS. Your friends are not wrong. They're just headed somewhere else. If you want a different destination, you need a different route. It's not personal. It's math. The psychology of copying the crowd. Copying the crowd is deeply human. Our brains are wired for belonging. In ancient environments, being rejected by the tribe could mean death. Today it won't kill you, but it can feel emotionally similar. Embarrassment, isolation, judgment, the fear of being talked about. That's why different decisions are not just a strategy issue. They're a nervous system issue. When you choose differently, your body might react as if you're stepping into danger. Your heart rate rises. You overthink. You seek reassurance. You delay. You ask 10 people for opinions, hoping someone gives you permission. But the harsh reality, if you need everyone to approve, you're not choosing, you're negotiating. And the group will negotiate you back into the average. This is why JackMa's quote is so practical. It forces you to confront the truth
that the biggest enemy of an extraordinary life is not failure, it's conformity. Failure is loud. Conformity is quiet. Failure feels dramatic. Conformity feels normal. But conformity steals years. Different life doesn't always mean easier life. A different life may be more meaningful, but it's often harder at first. When your friends choose comfort, they get immediate relief. When you choose growth, you get immediate discomfort. Your life might look worse before it looks better. That's a crucial point most motivational content skip.
If you start building a business, you might work weekends while your friends relax. If you start training seriously, you might skip late nights while your friends party. If you start studying and practicing a craft, you might be alone with your laptop while your friends are out making memories. This is where many people quit. Not because the goal is wrong, but because the early stage feels socially expensive. You're paying the price before you see the reward. You're doing the work before the identity catches up. You're making different decisions while still living in the old environment. That gap is uncomfortable. But it's also where transformation happens.
The two lives problem. Public you versus private you. There's a subtle tragedy that happens to people who want a different life but fear judgment. They live two lives. They perform the normal life publicly, agreeing, laughing, blending in, while privately dreaming of something else. They keep their ambitions secret, their plans quiet, their discipline hidden. They don't want to be teased. They don't want to be that person. But the more you split yourself like that, the more you start to lose trust in yourself. You feel fake. You feel small. You feel like you're always waiting for permission to be real. And that internal conflict drains energy. JackMa's quote pushes you toward integration. If you want a different life, your decisions must match your real self, not your social self. That doesn't mean announcing everything or seeking attention. It means your private choices align with your actual vision even when nobody is watching. That's how you become dangerous in a good way. Consistent, quiet, and unstoppable. How to make different decisions without losing everyone. Some people interpret different decisions as cut everyone off. That's not maturity, that's ego. You don't need to burn bridges to grow, but you may need to renegotiate boundaries and time. Here's how to do it intelligently. 1. Respect their path while protecting yours. You can love your friends and still not copy them. You can say, "That sounds fun, but I'm training early tomorrow," without insulting their choices. The goal is not superiority. The goal is alignment. 2. Reduce exposure to environments that weaken you. If every hangout leads to habits you regret, change the setting. Meet for coffee instead of late nights. Do activities that support your goals. True friends adapt. Fragile friendships resist. 3. Find at least one different decision ally. You don't need everyone. You need someone. One person who also trains, builds, studies, creates, or grows. An ally makes your path feel less abnormal, and it protects you from feeling like you're going crazy. 4. Let your results do the talking. The loudest way to handle judgment is silence plus progress. When your life improves, the same people who teased you will ask how you did it. Not because they're fake, because humans respect evidence. 5. Don't confuse isolation with focus. Focus is choosing priorities. Isolation is avoiding connection. You can be focused and still connected. Balance is not doing everything. Balance is doing what matters without losing your humanity. The practical framework. 5 decision areas that shape your life. If you want to apply this quote, don't keep it abstract. Look at the decision categories that actually create a different life. 1. 2. Money decisions. Whether you buy status or buy assets. Whether you spend to impress or invest to grow. Whether you chase quick pleasure or long-term freedom. 3. Health decisions.
sleep, training, food, alcohol, and stress habits. Many different lives start with different mornings and different bodies. 5. Relationship decisions. Who you allow to influence you, who you listen to, who you seek advice from, who you model. This is where friends matter most. If you change even one category, your life begins to drift away from the group average. Change 2 or 3 categories, and your life becomes unrecognizable within a few years. The hidden benefit. Different decisions build self-respect. Here's the part people rarely say. Making different decisions isn't just about money or success. It's about self-respect. When you consistently do what you said you would do, you build trust with yourself. You become someone you can rely on. That inner stability is priceless. Many people chase confidence, but confidence is often a side effect of kept promises. When you keep choosing what matters, especially when it's uncomfortable, you become calmer. You stop needing constant validation. You stop craving approval. You start operating from an internal compass. JackMa's quote is ultimately about that. Your life will be different because you will be different. Not because you pretended, because you practiced becoming the person who makes those decisions. But what if I'm wrong? The fear that stops most people. A fair concern is, what if my friends are right and I'm wrong? That's possible, but copying them doesn't eliminate risk. It only changes the type of risk. If you copy the crowd, you risk regret. If you choose your path, you risk failure. Failure can teach you. Regret just haunts you. Also, being different doesn't mean you can't adjust. The best decision makers are not stubborn. They are iterative. They try, learn, refine, and keep moving. You can change direction without returning to conformity. You can pivot without surrendering your independence. If you're afraid of being wrong, build a safe experiment version of your different decision. Start the business as a side project first. Train consistently for 90 days and track results. Study a skill for 30 days and build a portfolio piece. You don't need blind faith. You need controlled courage. The real question. Do you want their life? Whenever you feel pressure to match your friends, ask one brutal question. Do I want their life in 5 years? Not, do I want their weekend? Not, do I want their approval? Their life, their outcomes, their trade-offs, their stress, their relationships, their health, their finances, their identity. If the answer is no, then copying their decisions is irrational. It might feel socially safe today, but it's logically expensive tomorrow. If the answer is yes, then copying them might actually be smart. That's the point. Choose consciously, not socially. The loneliness phase, a normal part of upgrading. There's a phase many people hit when they start making different decisions. The loneliness phase. You've outgrown some habits but haven't yet built the new environment. Your old friends might still be there, but you don't fully fit the old rhythm. You're not fully in the new rhythm either. You feel like you're in between. This is normal. Don't panic. Don't return to average just because the transition is uncomfortable. This is the tunnel. If you keep going, you eventually meet new people, new communities, new standards. The loneliness phase is not a sign you're wrong. It's often a sign you're changing. The key is to not become bitter. Stay respectful. Stay grounded. Keep your humor. Keep your humility. But keep your direction. Different decisions require different information. Another reason people copy their friends. They share the same information. If everyone around you consumes the same content, talks about the same topics, and repeats the same beliefs, your decisions will be predictable. To make different decisions, you need different inputs. Read biographies. Study people who built what you want. Learn from industries outside your circle. Listen to long-form thinking, not just short clips. Ask better questions. Seek mentors. directly or indirectly through books and interviews. Your decisions change when your mind changes, and your mind changes when your inputs change.
If you keep feeding your brain the same social feed as everyone else, you'll keep producing the same choices.
A quiet action plan you can start today. If you want to turn Jack Ma's quote into a real shift, here's a practical plan you can start immediately.
Step 1. Identify the default friend decision. What is the typical choice your circle makes in one category? Time, money, health, learning, relationships. Name it clearly. Example: we waste weekends recovering from Friday night.
Step 2. Choose one alternative decision that supports your vision. Not 10. 1. Example: Saturday morning is for skill building and training. Step 3. Make it tiny but consistent for 30 days. Your goal is identity, not intensity. Example: 1 hour every Saturday morning, no negotiation. Step 4. Track evidence. Track energy, progress, output, mood, confidence. Let your results convince you.
Step 5. Adjust your environment. Find communities that normalize your new decision. Online groups, classes, gyms, co-working spaces, creator communities. Different decisions become easier when they stop feeling strange. The final twist. Your friends might benefit from your difference. Here's a surprising truth. Your different decisions may eventually help your friends. Not by lecturing them, not by flexing, simply by existing as proof that change is possible. When you improve your health, someone quietly starts walking. When you build something, someone quietly starts learning. When you get disciplined, someone begins to question their own habits.
Your difference can become a lighthouse, but only if you stay kind, only if you stay human, only if you don't turn success into arrogance. Jack Ma's quote isn't a call to abandon people. It's a call to stop abandoning yourself. So yes, if your decisions are different from what your friends do, your life will be different. It will be different because your days will be different. Your standards will be different. Your skills will be different. Your confidence will be different. Your options will be different. And eventually, if you keep going, your results will be different, in a way that makes the early discomfort feel cheap compared to the life you built. The real question isn't whether you can handle making different decisions. The real question is whether you can handle living the same life forever just to keep everyone comfortable.